Pax Dei. D-A, Dei, D. I did 3 years of Latin, I really should know this. Is a video game, and it is one of the video games of all time. This isn't a video that's designed to make you feel any particular kind of way, nor is it a video made to dissuade you from playing this video game if that's what you're interested in. I'm making this video to show you what you might experience, entertain you, and help you make your own informed decisions. So quick disclaimer, any criticality that I have comes from a place of genuinely wanting the game to succeed and do well. I want the devs to make the game as good as they want it to be, and that being said, let's set the ground level. Pax Dei is an upcoming, massively multiplayer online social sandbox game developed and co-published by Mainframe Industries and New Tales. The game released in Steam Early Access to negative reviews on June 18th of 2024. Now, as of writing, it is June 25th, 2024. Not a lot has passed from that time, but enough time has passed, and I've experienced enough things to draw some conclusions that I feel should be shared with you. Out of the gate, this game is pretty unique. From the art style to the lack of a class structure, it really doesn't have a lot in common with other games, even games that it should be similar to, such as Life is Feudal. This uniqueness gives it a certain charm and makes it quite compelling. The ability to be who you want to be, do what you want to do, is an incredibly driving and freeing idea, at least on paper.
What do you want? What do you want?
It's not that simple.
What do you want? God damn it. What do you want?
I have to go.
Now this is where we begin to really get into the meat and potatoes of this game. Who do you want to be, and what do you want to do? There's no wrong answer to this. Yeah, we'll get to that later. And there's no limit to what you can do. Sure. If you have the want, the desire, and drive, you can do anything. Okay, let's rip off a band-aid and ruffle some feathers. So, Pax Dei is a social MMO. What that means is it's easy enough to boil down to, the game's fucking huge. If you're one person coming at it, you're more than likely not going to have a great time. There are a lot of resources and many different skills that all feed into and off of each other, and it takes a good bit of effort to level these skills up. Now, anyone familiar with MMOs will know that a lot of these skills are nearly exponential in their experience requirements to achieve the next level. This game is no different. And that means that just getting up a level in any given skill, such as weaponsmithing, might require you to produce or have produced hundreds of weapons to level up once. Those weapons are comprised of 3 to 12 parts, and those parts may be made up of 1 to 3 units of any specific refined material, which might be made up of hundreds of raw resources. Now, early on and at very low levels of skill, leveling is quick and relatively painless. Unless you're talking about gathering levels, and then God help you. But trying to make tier 2 weapons, tools, buildings, and refined materials, it gets very, very costly. And the cost isn't just in raw resources, it's in time, the universal currency. Let's say that you're a strong, independent Nightmare Cthulhu monster and you don't need no man, and you have until the heat death of the universe. Well, there's another problem for you to encounter. That problem is that most of the NPCs, monsters, and colloquially mobs are not soloable. Most of them are fairly tough and dish out a surprisingly large amount of damage very quickly, and very often are in close proximity to other hostile mobs, making taking one-on-ones nearly impossible. So, Cthulhu monster, you've encountered a bit of a roadblock. What do? You say, well, I'm going to have to make some better gear to handle these mobs. Excellent idea, I say. However, there's another problem. How do you make better gear when the materials that you need to get the better gear comes from those mobs? If you're running into a bit of a mental roadblock, don't worry, it doesn't have a solution without fundamentally changing the equation. You simply need more people. And now we arrive at the unfortunate conclusion, at least until they decide to change things. As of right now, solo play is basically dead. You will likely hit an effective brick wall at some point where you need something off of a mob that you will not be able to kill by yourself. You rife cur! The game is nae designed to be a solitary experience. It hath been designed as a social MMO. Praise be the holy algorithm. Ah, yes. Like, comment, subscribe. Amen. Right, so that is true. The game was designed mostly for groups rather than for individuals, but it doesn't really much work at all for solo players. Not work well, it just doesn't work whatsoever. Additionally, the devs themselves have said that they want solo play to be rewarding in its own right, not congrats, you can't continue unless you're in a large group, which is what we have currently. Okay, so you can't go forward alone, so what do? You do what any normal self-respecting eldritch abomination does, you join a clan. This brings us to my experience with Pax. So I'm part of a large clan that I won't name. And they are, as of right now, the largest and most influential on our server. PAX has been a lot of fun, and also really frustrating, but I now know why. So this game's really fun, and yes, it's got a lot of problems, and yes, it's very wide and not very deep currently. But below that, there is a good game. There's a lot of this game that has been thought out and planned out well. The building mechanics are pretty damn good for a game with so many players, honestly. The plot system, while sounding like it would be really restrictive, is actually extremely intuitive in its design. The plots being somewhat small normally, but then snapping together to become larger is really cool, and it's made for some really interesting organic creations. And besides building, the crafting, while having a few odd hiccups that I feel should be iterated on, is really enjoyable. It's not super fast, which means that even coming in now, by the time that this video is live over 2 weeks after launch, you really aren't behind at all. I think the thing that this game is doing right is actually very counterculture to the current understanding of MMOs in general. A great deal of the enjoyment of this game is sitting down with your mates working on your skills, leveling. But honestly, enjoying the process of leveling is very much the theme of this game, and that's where it shines. I remember in World of Warcraft, leveling was a mad dash to max level to actually get to the enjoyable parts of the MMO experience. This doesn't have that. This is enjoyable as it is. Again, not to say that it's perfect, and not to say it doesn't have its hiccups along the way, but it really truly is enjoyable. Combine that with the fact that you don't ever have to craft if you don't want to. If you want to just jump on and kill mobs, farm up loot, become the best spearman on the block, you totally can. And you have a very, very compelling base of a game that I predict will do very well for itself and maybe even create its own subgenre of gaming. That does bring us neatly to the last segment that I wanted to talk about, culture. Alright, my eldritch critters and gribblies, this is where I address all of the other points that I left off and didn't talk about. So, as you heard earlier, I'm a part of... Trinity! And well, it was not a good experience, at all. There were some really, really good people over there who were super helpful and wonderful people, and I honestly wish them the best. That being said, there were some really bad actors that were doing some very not agreeable behaviors. Remember earlier when I said that you could do what you want? Well, we had a situation about 2 days after launch, wherein we were trying to get better weapons than the literal baby back bitch spears that we were all able to make, and we couldn't find any. So we asked our board of crafters, and they let us know that they didn't have any, despite us giving them many, many times over the amount of resources that it would be necessary to make. And in addition, they told us, well, our weapon crafter is offline. So, being that I was noticing something, we don't have any weapons for us to going out and getting materials, so I figured, like most probably would, we've got a shortage of weaponsmiths to produce the weapons that we need. So I volunteered. I said, hey, I'll learn weaponsmithing. That way, we can get better weapons to take down the mobs faster. I asked the guys generally managing the crafters and their needs, and I got told this. So yeah. So this takes the wind out of my sails for pretty much the next several days, and I literally didn't touch crafting at all. And it honestly ruined my mood a great deal. And it almost soured me to this game entirely. But that wasn't the half of it. My group of gaming buddies, who all decided to band together with Trinity, were tasked day in and day out with gathering literally tens of thousands of iron ore, hundreds of thousands of wood, and far too much flax to count. We did this in addition to going out and fighting to earn the sigils and laws that were needed for magic items from the mobs. This previous interaction sent some eyebrows raised, but it would be one of our guys, Carl, whose interaction sent up the red flag. See, Carl, like me, wanted to help out, to contribute to a greater whole and make something cool and contribute goods and services and start our own little civilization. Super cute shit, right? So Carl decides that he wants to be a tailor. Guess what? He gets told no, we already have enough. Carl does what Carl does and says, cool, I'll just go get my own stuff, that's fine. Well, picture this. You're Carl, and you want to spend some time farming up some flax. You get your flax and you go to the spinning wheel to make some coarse linen threads, and then you look up and you spot him. It's the cloth Nazi!
Where are your papers? Mav, where are they?
The cloth Nazi looks at you and says, "What are you doing, Carl? You're wasting resources." Yes, this individual really tells Carl that he's wasting the whole clan's resources and starts throwing a whole hissy fit because Carl's making flax thread that he got himself. This combined with a very noticeable fact that the crafters, almost all of whom did not do any fighting whatsoever, were absolutely decked out in the best gear that they could make, and everyone else was given scraps at best. It would come to light that what they were doing was giving a very small inner circle literally everything, and everyone else got scraps or literally nothing. And this didn't just apply to gear, this applied to skill leveling, and even the very resources that we were harvesting. Every time you would go through one of the 10, 20 squillion chests, you would have somebody looking over your shoulder, watching you, and looking at what you took. I need not explain how this mentality is utterly wrong for this game. So, we did what any other esoteric abominations would do. We left, and we made our own clan.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna go build my own theme park with blackjack and hookers. In fact, forget the park.
Where we could approach the game the way it was intended, with fun in mind. So why explain all of that? Well, in part because it's funny, to show how bass-ackwards it was, but also because I want to warn you of being manipulated by people, especially people that you are trying to embed yourself into, to become part of the people building their civilization. Efforts should be reciprocated, and if there are not efforts being reciprocated, then efforts should not be continued to be made. This game is really truly incredible, and I cannot wait for it to reach its full potential. But in the meantime, enjoy the build, enjoy the progression. This game is an endurance jog, not a 100-meter dash. And anyone telling you that you're behind the curve or you need to level fast, yeah, that's bullshit. The enjoyment of this game is the process of leveling, of slowly, incrementally increasing in power level, in skill extraction, in resource caliber, not sprinting towards some endgame finish line. Don't treat this game like it's some competitive sport. It's not. What is it, Sir Buckethead? A social MMO! Right, it is. So enjoy the grind, crack open a cold one with the boys, summon the boys to the yard with a milkshake or something. I don't know, you do you. Oh, and be you. Pax Dei lets you do what you want and be who you want. Don't let somebody tell you you can't. If you've watched or listened this far into the video, thank you so much. I'm honored to have been given your time, and truly grateful for your presence. If you're looking to get into Pax Dei, and you want a clan to run with, or simply are looking for an actual group that will treat your time with the respect that it deserves, consider joining the Crimson Brotherhood. It's the gaming group of rejects and misfits that I'm a part of. We have a lot of lovely creatures over there. And if you do, tell them my video sent you. Be good to yourself, be good to others. Thank you for watching. Bye.
Boogity boogity, bitch!